Kine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you holding this important hearing. Hopefully we'll have another opportunity at some point to reconvene and have another hearing and an update, because I think in a lot of respects it's a little premature. Obviously the credit didn't take effect until last year. The Affordable Care Act didn't pass until March of last year. We're still waiting to see all the small business filings coming in and the impact, who's going to take the credit. So in some respects it is a little bit premature, but let's get to the complexity a little bit, because I think we all have a shared goal. When you take a look at the number of uninsured individuals in this country, the vast majority of them are working people in small businesses. In fact, small businesses the size of 3 to 9 employees, less than half of them are offering health care coverage for their employees today. So if we're going to be serious at all about trying to attack the number of uninsured, you've got to do something to deal with small businesses to make it more affordable. And that's why in previous years there's always been bipartisan support of providing tax relief to small businesses, providing health care coverage for their employees. That's what we're trying to attempt here. Now, if there's a problem with complexity, let's address that and come up with some recommendations on what we can do to tighten it up and make it less complex. That's what I hope that we can try to accomplish at a hearing and the feedback that we're getting. But Mr. George, based on your study and analysis of the credit so far, have you offered any recommendations on how to simplify the tax credit to deal with the complexity that's out there right now?
Again, and I have said no, it's not a cop-out, but again, the Secretary of the Treasury has delegated substantive tax policy to the Office of Tax Policy, and so I am not here to advocate any particular substantive tax policy. That said, something as simple, again, as math error authority, expanding it so that to keep them from having to send out money when they know there's a problem and yet they don't have the authority to keep that money from going out. That would be a simple solution to this.
I'm talking from the employer's point of view, trying to simplify so that it's easier for them to take advantage of the tax credit.
Well,
are there any recommendations that you have there? Ms. Ingram, has IRS been looking at this at all as far as steps that we could take to try to simplify it? Or can IRS do it on your own?
I think that what we have to do from our perspective is look at whether we can simplify forms, simplify instructions, get better how-to kits in people's hands, help them with decision trees to reduce the number of questions they need to ask themselves. Many of the portions of the provision are getting at more complicated business arrangements, and not everybody needs to.
Well, Mr. Ingram, let me just for the sake of clarification now, it is not mandatory that a taxpayer complete the worksheets and the instructions in order to claim the tax credit. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Now, just so I'm clear, and I've got my own calculator on my website for small businesses to plug in information to see what they could qualify under the tax credit. It's basically, check me if I'm wrong, but it's basically 3 pieces of information a small business owner is going to need or to provide the accountant in order to take advantage of the tax credit. 1, individuals considered as employees. 2, employee hours of service. And 3, employee wages paid. Are those basically the 3 criteria that they're going to need to plug in order to determine their tax credit under this?
That's where most of the math questions are. Yes, they do need to make sure that the insurance they're providing and the employer's share of the contribution also meets the rules.
And that's the 50% rule.
Yep.
And most states like Wisconsin already require that at the state level, so that's not a problem. I mean, that's something that already applies to this. But those are basically it, and I can't think of a small business owner who wouldn't know that data or those facts that they could just plug in. Otherwise, your business probably isn't going to be open very much. If you don't know how many employees you have, how much you're paying them, and how many hours they're working, there's a problem, I think. Am I missing something here? I mean, is it more complicated than that?
I think the thing that we have been trying to listen to when we talk to stakeholders and small businesses and advisors is to try to hear where they would like assistance, where we could make it simpler, where we could say, answer these couple of questions, and if the answer is yes for each of them, go straight to.
And the only reason you see a chart like this is just to score cheap political points and to confuse people. I mean, realistically, this is what this is all about. But do you know, Ms. Ingram, how many small business owners that are filing taxes have a prepared or have a paid preparer, professional preparer, doing it for them?
I don't have the exact statistic, but it's high.
It's a pretty high number, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are supposed to have the expertise and being able to take advantage of all the credits, all the deductions that small business owners can claim anyway. Is that right?
Yes, it's why we're shifting our strategy for outreach for the next cycle and to include the
Professional
tax preparation industry, the electronic industry, to see what they can also do.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.